everybody. This is Mom at Little Squirrels Urban Farm, which is a thing that we just invented. When I asked my oldest daughter what she thought her homeschool name should be, she said Little Squirrels Farm. So we're rolling with it. Most of parenting, and especially homeschool parenting, I think is rolling with it. So we'll talk plenty about that during this. But the first thing that we're going to do is something I've been super excited to do for months, and I haven't been able to because every time I want to do something, my new baby decides that I'm going to do a different thing. So we're going to do a garden tour now because Dad's home and it's his turn. So get excited. We're going to see my really in progress garden. Because it'd be cool, I think, if you can see it in the dilapidated state it currently is. You know, hopefully you can see it change and become awesome, which is what I want it to look like eventually. What I think makes this particular project and the projects that are going to move forward with this unique is that this is not my property. This is a rental. This is a military housing rental. And this is probably how I'm going to end up living with my family for at least another decade, which means that every project is one that's going to invariably be returned to its original state or something like it. More on that later. And then I'm going to have to start over somewhere else. And so hopefully there will be lessons learned that I can carry with me to wherever we go next. And it's going to be really interesting learning to garden in multiple zones over the course of my life. This is actually the second gardening zone that I've gardened in. Also more on that later. And hope you enjoy it. So we're going to start with the backyard. The backyard is where I have the most space to do things. So things is what I'm going to try and do. Got this super cute. Yeah, you can tell I have kids. This little corner is where I'm trying to sort of extend out this sidewalk here. As you can see, the sidewalk is quite busy currently, and so no one can really walk back here comfortably. And I'd like us to be able to. I'd also eventually like to turn this lawn into a mow very little space, because no one wants to mow this little lawn, and I don't want to have a lawnmower anymore because it just takes up space. A lot of this is going to be about space saving and trying to balance space saving with productivity. Real challenging. And with aesthetic. You can actually do safe spinning and productivity, but like making it look pretty is special challenge. So this will eventually be specifically for trash cans like this one, which I'd eventually like to have in this corner, because no one wants to walk into your backyard and immediately have to walk around smelly trash cans. They don't smell now because it's like springtime in San Diego, which is the closest thing to normal weather for me. And it's also the time of the year that I'm happiest because we actually get rain, which is not a thing that we get a lot of in San Diego. But yeah, so eventually trash cans are going to go here, and then we're going to move right over into what will eventually be a lot of vertical peas. Peas is what I'm thinking for here. Right now it's strawberries and oregano. I'd like to move the strawberries. I'm not entirely sure where. I have some pellet ideas. I have some other ideas. But I definitely want more peas. I'm trying to think of like what's most expensive produce-wise around me. And sugar snap peas are definitely a high-ticket item, even if they're in season, which is kind of annoying. But all the more reason to grow your own food. This is some random pots of kale, because when my mother was here, when my son Merlin was first born, she took like every pot that I had and filled it with something. I don't know what all of them are. So that's going to be a fun thing over the next couple of months as I begin. This is a new project that I'm doing. I saw a lot of YouTube stuff about no-dig gardening, and that sounds super convenient. Challenging to put back the way it was? Maybe. We'll see. I've had these 2 rose trees for some time. They're not in bloom right this second, but they bloom for a lot of the year because this is San Diego, and that's what things do when they're not dead. So I've laid this cardboard down and I'm getting ready to let it degrade a little bit. And I'll put some mulch down and some compost, and then I'd like to see if I can cultivate a sweet little wildflower patch or an herb patch. Pretty things that may or may not have medicinal use will be going right here, and it'll probably just be regular wildflowers or maybe some flowers that the kids shouldn't have as easy access to because they'll be behind this wee fence here. Over here is the Malabar spinach bed. Everything that you see is made out of free stuff because, you know, free is nice and surprisingly useful. It's hard to make free look pretty, but we're making it work. I just cut this down the other day. It was vining, but it was getting kind of, well, it didn't look pretty anymore, that's for sure. And I only had one come up this year. So I decided to try and use it as mulch so that it'll sort of reseed itself. We'll see how well that works. Malabar spinach, if you've never tried it, is super tasty. It goes especially well when it gets super hot like it does here in the summertime. And also in the fall. We don't really have fall here in San Diego. It's a secret that nobody tells you. People here that even live here will be like, oh, it's fall. No, it's not. It's fire season part 2. That's a real thing. So, all of these blocks down here are ones I've pulled off of the wall from when we had a dog and he liked to dig under the fence. We don't have a dog anymore because she had different needs than we were able to accommodate, but we rehomed her to a really nice lady downtown, so I think she's very happy now. Got some really good cell phone photos of her. I recently transplanted my dragon fruit over here, looking to see how well he does. I've never grown dragon fruit before, so we'll see. My mother says that she has a hard time growing borage in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. But now that I've grown it once, I can't seem to get it to stop growing. It's sort of taking over my kale over here, and it's coming out of the ground over here now because it used to be in this bed, which will be relined and filled with, well, I'm going to refurbish this dirt a little bit, but then I'll put it back in, and I'm going to grow some sweet potatoes, purple sweet potatoes actually, that I pirated from the supermarket. The slips are looking amazing. I will try and get some video of them for you later. So, just some haphazard stuff in here right now. Oh, you don't belong. You don't go here. Oh, come here. Alright. Well, had a little bit of an uninvited guest. There's another one over there. I'll get him tomorrow. But yeah, we've got some kale. We've got some oregano. We've got a heck of a lot of borage, which I need to do something about. I think I'm going to cut a little bit of it down. It's so pretty. It really is. It just takes up a lot of space. And I think it's doing a really good job of deterring pests because you see these kale leaves look really nice. Normally stuff in this bed looks not that nice because we have a lot of pests, especially during this time of year. Especially snails. They will eat the crap out of all of the things. And these peas are actually doing pretty nicely now too. So I think the borage is keeping the pests away, which is super duper nice. Just have to find that right balance of how much to let grow and how much to pull. These need a transplant. These are some local sages that I'm very fond of. Only one of them can be used in food. The other is purely decorative, but very nice smelling. You can make smudge sticks out of it if you want, I guess. This is a Cape honeysuckle. It's also outgrowing that planter, so it's going to get transplanted somewhere. Don't know where yet. I'm hoping to fill both of these beds with milkweed for the butterflies because my kids love them. This trellis is for future use for probably pumpkins or squash. Haven't decided when yet, haven't decided where yet. We're going to have a few more beds here that my husband promised to build me. And that's where my tomatoes are going to go. And then we've got this monstrosity, which is sort of a beanpole TV, but not really. It's more like a beanpole igloo or tree monster. It was from a sapling that grew up where it wasn't supposed to that we had to cut down. And I'm going to grow some, I can't remember what they're called, blue butterfly pea. That's it, blue butterfly pea on that. And we're going to see how that goes. These used to be for the other beds, and they were to keep gophers out. But they're a little big and they're a little bulky. And so I think what I'm going to try and do is cut them up a little bit and use them as trellising for pumpkins and squash. Because eventually that's what I'm going to try and grow here. You would think that this tree provides too much shade for this area to be really useful, but you would think wrong. The solar index in San Diego and the reach of the sun is unbelievable. One of the first things that I discovered when I started growing things here is that when you see full sun written on a plant, it could be lying to you. Full sun means different things for different plants. I've had many a plant get burned up to a crisp on my front porch because San Diego sunlight. This is another local beauty that I would like to transplant into the ground to become a permanent feature. It's called a lemonberry plant, and I thought that it was just a small shrub, and then I went to the San Diego Botanical Garden and I saw several the size of medium trees. So I don't think I want it to be a medium tree. It's going to need a lot of pruning, obviously, but I think it's got a lot of potential if I put it somewhere in a corner and just sort of let it take off for a hot minute. That's my plan. So we've covered a lot of ground, I think, today, and you can see that there's some good bones here. There's a lot of cool stuff. I think it's probably hard to visualize what I want it to look like, but I will show you the computerized garden plan because I'm an app kind of a girl later, and we'll talk about it. I really hope you enjoyed the walkthrough and all of the green. I'm going to try and keep it this green for as long as I can. No guarantees. This is basically the desert.